and welcome to my channel. In today's video, what I'm going to discuss is the common myths and misconceptions that people have surrounding astrology. I've noticed that astrology has really been booming and exploding and becoming quite a popular topic in our modern day and age. But another thing I've noticed along with this is that a lot of people have a very big misconception of what astrology is. What a lot of people think it is not what it actually is, and it's causing a lot of confusion in the world around us. As you guys know, I like to debunk things and I like to point out the facts. So in this video, I am just going to debunk the myths and the misconceptions and point out the facts to you guys. So the first thing is that astrology is meant to be used as a tool to gain self-awareness and self-understanding. Everything in astrology teaches you who you are, why you are the way you are, why you have your negative habits, why you have negative traits, why you have your positive habits and your positive traits, and it basically gives you a roadmap as to what your imprint is in this world. Astrology can also really help you understand other people. However, before you're actually able to understand other people, it is vital that you first understand yourself. A lot of people will ask astrologers, I want to know about this person, read this person's chart for me. Fair enough, but it's very important to bear in mind that when you're approaching it this way to find out about another person and you're not using it as a tool to gain self-understanding, you are not really using it for the purpose that it's meant to be. So yes, astrology still tells you a lot about other people, but what does it serve you? What use does it have to know all these things about other people, but to lack self-awareness and self-understanding? So before you try and find out about other people and what they're all about, first figure yourself out. Use astrology as a tool to gain self-awareness and self-understanding first. Once you have reached the self-awareness and self-understanding, understanding other people will come more naturally to you. When we aren't connected with ourselves and we don't understand ourselves, it is merely impossible to connect with and understand another person. Trying to figure out another person through astrology is not going to be of that much use if you lack self-awareness and self-understanding. The key to understanding others is having self-awareness and self-understanding. The main goal of astrology is to show you your true meaning and your purpose in this life. The second thing that is a misconception about astrology is people think it's all about telling you about the future. So one thing I've noticed about astrology clients is that they will ask the astrologer about their future, but they do not ask the astrologer about themselves. So a lot of people think that astrology is some tool, some magical tool that is going to show you and tell you your future. But it is important to bear in mind that yes, okay, maybe there is a little bit of truth to this. Astrology can guide you in the right direction in your future, but it's not going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. If you are approaching astrology with this mentality that you want to find out what's going to happen in the future, you're actually using the art and the tool completely wrong. Astrology is not meant to tell us our future. Astrology is meant to tell us who we are. Astrology is meant to tell us how we can change and adapt ourselves to be better in our future and to receive more abundance and happiness in our future. If I tell you now, this and this is going to happen in the future, there's no use I tell you, you're going to be successful 10 years from now in your future, but I do not tell you how to reach that success. Astrology is a tool to teach you how you can make yourself powerful and successful in order to accomplish that goal that you have for the future. But astrology is not merely there to just tell you it's going to happen in the future. Astrology is there to guide you to implement the changes and the things that you need in your life to obtain what you need or what you want from the future. So if you're going to ask an astrologer to tell you what's to come for the future, but you're not interested in knowing what steps you need to take or what you need to do in your life or what changes you need to make to yourself to ensure that the future is what you want it to be, it's going to be pointless asking about your future. Astrology is not a magic show. Astrology is a tool that is used to help people raise awareness of themselves. A lot of people think that when they're getting a reading from an astrologer, they're in some kind of magic show, and this astrologer has to woo them. This conception of astrology is completely wrong. If you're approaching an astrologer to be wooed or to see if they're gonna be right, you're approaching it for the wrong reason. Astrology is not meant to be used as a source of entertainment. Astrology can be entertaining, and yes, it can be a source of entertainment in a lot of cases, but if you're merely using it as a source of entertainment, and you're not actually using astrology or approaching astrology for what it is meant to do, which is to actually inform you about yourself and to actually teach you and guide you in your life, then you're approaching it for the wrong reason. If you're approaching an astrologer or you're getting a reading to get some kind of magic show or to be wooed by the astrologer's capabilities to suss you out, that is not why you should be getting a reading. Astrologers give readings to help people understand themselves and to be aware of themselves, not to give a big magic show and to woo them. The next thing is, astrology is not about prediction. A lot of people think astrology is about predicting the future and predicting what's going to happen. Now, like I said, yes, there is some truth to this. You can predict some things through astrology, but what I've noticed is happening a lot is people have this misconception in their mind that astrology is all about predictions. So they have no interest whatsoever in understanding themselves, learning about themselves, improving themselves, or whatever the case. And when they approach an astrologer, they just want to know about the future. When the future does not turn out to be as the astrologer said it would be, or whatever the case, the person doubts astrology or the person doubts the astrologer's capabilities. However, the person approached astrology with the wrong mentality and the wrong approach in the first place, and they were basically setting themselves up for disappointment from the beginning. So a lot of people think astrologers and psychics are similar. However, astrologers and psychics are incredibly different. Psychics have a gift of foresight. Psychics have a gift of clairvoyance, and psychics are the ones that you want to approach if you want to know what's going to happen in the future. Many psychics, obviously not all psychics, as there are a lot of people who pretend to be psychic. However, there are also a lot of people who are legit psychics. They have the ability of foresight and they can possibly tell you what's going to come for the future. However, astrologers are not really cut out for this as much as what psychics are. Astrologers are more cut out for guiding and directing you to know and understand yourself and to find your purpose in this world. If you want to know the future, it's best to actually get a reading from a psychic and not an astrologer. This is one thing that really grinds my gears, is when people approach astrologers asking for future predictions, and when these predictions don't come true, they completely disregard astrology. However, they never really used astrology for what it was actually meant to be. They approached it completely the wrong way. When a person approaches astrology the wrong way, they end up confusing themselves and they end up doubting what it actually is. However, if they were just guided to actually see it and approach it the right way, they would actually see what an incredible tool it can actually be. I read a very interesting article, and this article actually stated that the type of person and personality type that it requires to master the skill of astrology, only about 1% of the world's population will be able to. So an astrologer is a person who has a heightened awareness of the spiritual world, a heightened awareness of the human mind as well as human emotions, but they also have a very potent calculating and observant side to them as well. The reason I found this interesting is because only 1% of our population is able to really understand how astrology works and what astrology is all about. The rest of our population, the other 99%, is completely confused and misguided as to how it actually works and what it's actually about. The next thing is horoscopes. Oh my goodness, horoscopes grind my gears. Now don't get me wrong, there is some truth to horoscopes and I even write my own horoscopes. But at the end of the day, the conception that people have around horoscopes is completely wrong. So let's say you're an Aries, right? And you're reading a horoscope for Aries. You're not actually reading your horoscope because you might be an Aries with, for example, a Scorpio rising. If you're an Aries with a Scorpio rising, you should actually be reading a Scorpio horoscope and not an Aries horoscope. But at the end of the day, no one knows this and no one tells anybody this. So all the Aries people are reading Aries horoscopes. All the Scorpios are reading Scorpio horoscopes, but they're actually not even reading their horoscope. So how horoscopes are written and how horoscopes work is when you write about a sign, say for example, Aries. You start with Aries on the rising. So you write that horoscope according to an Aries rising chart. A person who's born in the sign of Aries might not necessarily have an Aries rising, but their sun will be an Aries. That means that an Aries horoscope is completely irrelevant to them. It means nothing to them. Their sun can be in the second house and they can be a Pisces rising, so they might have to read a Pisces horoscope. People don't actually know this. People aren't aware of how astrology actually works, so they're reading a horoscope that's actually not even meant for them in the first place. Now, like I said, there is truth to horoscopes, and horoscopes can be accurate and they can be right, but you need to ensure that you're reading the horoscope that is actually meant for your chart layout and not for your sun sign. People think that horoscopes are based on their sun signs. However, it's actually not. A horoscope is based on your chart layout and your rising sign. Now, this is a very big misconception surrounding astrology and horoscopes, and it seriously grinds my gears because people will read their horoscope and they'll be like, oh, but this is not true, but they're actually not even reading what they're supposed to be reading in the first place, and they're reading somebody else's horoscope. There is so much confusion surrounding how astrology works that it's actually crazy. Now, the next thing is astrology is actually meant to point out your flaws, point out your weaknesses, your strength, and all these things to you in order to make you aware of it so that you can make active changes in your life for the better. Now, another example I want to bring up in this topic is gemstones. People believe that gemstones have these mystical healing properties and gemstones can heal you and they can cure you. Okay, yes, there is some truth to this. However, gemstones aren't these miracle rocks that completely cure you of all your ailments. They can have an impact in your auric field, but they aren't what people make them out to be. People kind of think that astrology is like a gemstone, in that where, okay, cool, it's going to make your life better, it's going to improve your life, but you don't actually realize that you need to actively be involved with it. You need to actively be working with it. You need to really dive deep into it to understand yourself and to get yourself. It's not just something that you can kind of like dabble in every now and then, or kind of put aside, or kind of put on a shelf like a gemstone, and that's going to increase your spiritual awareness. That's not true. Astrology is something that you have to work with directly. Astrology does not work like a gemstone in that which, okay, cool, now you're being presented with it and now it's going to magically heal your energy field and make you this pure, happy person. No. Astrology, unfortunately, forces you to actually face your problems. Astrology is not just going to magically heal it all and magically give you the answers. You actually need to deal with this stuff. You need to face it. You need to face your truth. The next thing is that there is obviously much more to your sun sign. A lot of people think that astrology is fake because it is impossible that there can be 12 kinds of people in this world. But they actually have a very big misconception surrounding. In astrology, you actually get a thing called your birth chart. Your birth chart is basically a 2D imprint of where the planets, the stars and the asteroids and everything up in the sky was positioned when you were born. Now, the constellation that the sun was moving through during your time of birth will indicate your sun sign. So that is why a lot of us identify as, for example, a Virgo or a Leo or Libra, whatever the case may be. A very interesting thing to mention is because of the differentiating orbits of all the different planets and the asteroids and everything, it is literally physically impossible for the planets to be in exactly the same positions on two separate occasions. So what I'm saying by this is that where the planets were positioned in the sky when you were born is incredibly and completely unique to you. Nobody shares that specific alignment of where the planets were located in the sky with you. Unless you have a twin who is maybe literally born within like 4 minutes that you were born. Then in that case, it is possible. However, if you do not have a twin, it's likely impossible. Now this birth chart, this specific map of where the planets were located in the sky at your moment of birth is literally as unique as your fingerprint. Now the thing is, most people don't even realize that this birth chart exists. Most people think that astrology is just merely a sun sign. However, it is not. When they actually have a look at a birth chart, they'll actually see that it's kind of like a DNA sequence. It's damn complicated and it's damn unique. Our astrological birth chart is basically like the DNA sequence of our soul. I don't know if that makes any sense. But our astrological chart is literally so complex that there are hundreds of elements within it that indicate to us aspects of ourselves and our life. It's not just one thing, which is the sun sign in a specific sign. Your sun sign probably makes out about 1% of who you are in total. Astrology is vast, but people actually aren't aware of this. The next thing is that people feel like we are basically doomed to what is written in our stars. However, that's not true either. What astrology can do is it can pinpoint to you and can indicate to you what is upcoming. It can indicate to you the troubles that you might face. Having awareness of this allows you to change your current situation, your current state of being, and just your current life so that this does not manifest in your life eventually. So what astrology does is it basically tells you what you will end up manifesting into your life if things are a certain way. So if you do not work on changing the specific things that need to be changed, that thing will end up manifesting in your life. But this is exactly why astrology is such a powerful tool. But what astrology can do is, for example, say, hey buddy, look, in 10 years from now, you are going to have some serious health problems because you are a chain smoker. Having that awareness will help you to perhaps quit smoking or cut down on your smoking so that you cannot experience those severe health problems when you're older. Or the awareness of it can help you to lessen the impact of the severity of those health problems that you will receive when you're older. So astrology is used this way. It tells you what you can expect, and if you do not change the current course of action and the current path that your life is on, that is what will end up happening. However, we do have free will, and the thing is, without the awareness of what is to happen, without the awareness of what is to come, a lot of people do not know that they need to make a change. They do not have the insights that they require to know that the path they're currently on is the wrong path. The next thing I would like to mention is the people who do not believe in astrology because it is not an exact provable science to them. Now, an interesting thing to mention is that astrology actually originated before religions did. So ancient humans and ancient civilizations practiced astrology, and they followed astrology because they had no actual religions back then. Astronomy as well as astrology was one thing in ancient times. So in ancient times, astronomers were also astrologers. So these people connected the science of astronomy along with the meaning of astrology. To them, it was one thing. What ended up happening is, as time moved on and as humans evolved, religions started forming. And when religions started forming, religions started stating that you are not to worship the stars, and you are to worship the god or the entity or the being or whatever the case may be. Once these religions were formed and when modern science started evolving, people stopped looking to astrology for answers and they started looking to things like religion and science to gain meaning of life and answers. When people started putting their trust more into things like religion and science, people started losing their faith in astrology because their faith was put into things like religion and science. Now the thing is, things like God can't be proven. Things like heaven and hell can't be proven. There are a lot of things in this world that can't be proven, and that is because these things do not operate on a physical, comprehensible level. Scientists and people who like to use that whole scientific approach to debunk astrology have no awareness whatsoever of any kind of spiritual reality or world. These people believe that we are merely flesh, physical beings. We have no soul, we have no purpose, and we are merely here to experience the flesh, and that's it. That's what these people believe, and that is why they do not believe in astrology. People who struggle to connect with things like religion and things like astrology are people who struggle to connect with any kind of spiritual belief or spiritual understanding in life in general. The thing is that a lot of people think that if they don't believe in astrology, it's not going to work and it's not going to impact them. But astrology impacts everybody. Astrology impacts the entire world. Whether you believe in it or not, it's still going to impact you. The same counts for religions and people who have religious views. If you're a person who does not have spiritual or religious views and you feel that your actions or whatever the case may be has no impact in your life, you are completely mistaken. It actually does. So astrology is not something in which you can say, here, this is the impact, this is what it's doing. Astrology is not something in which you can pinpoint the exact impact of it, but it does impact us. The next thing is, I've noticed that astrology has become a massive industry. Corporate companies are investing in astrology. Astrology has become a massive entertainment source. As a writer of astrology, I get a lot of people approaching me, asking me to write SEO optimized articles. So that means they want me to write articles for search engines. They don't want me to write articles for human beings. Now, what has happened is astrology has turned into this massive industry, and a lot of people and companies think that they can profit out of it. But this is completely wrong. Astrology is not something that companies and corporations should be profiting out of. Astrology is literally like a spiritual tool. Also, astrology should not be used for profitability. Astrology shouldn't be used as something to gain traffic and money and popularity and whatever the case is that these people are trying to do. Astrology needs to be something people can connect with. Now, if articles are written for search engines, people are going to read these articles and they're going to not connect with it whatsoever, and they're going to think that astrology is just fake, it's not real, and it's just a big joke. The reason why people think this is because majority of the articles that are being written online are being written for search engines, and they're SEO optimized, and they're not actually being written for humans. It's very important to understand that astrology is not actually some massive industry that's going to make us rich. And through approaching it with this mentality, we are actually destroying what it actually is. It's actually meant to, like I said, guide, heal, and help people. And when we turn it into this almost like industry kind of thing, where it's all automated and it's all robotic, and there's no actual soul, personality, and feel into it, people do not connect with it, and people think that it is a joke. They do not think that it is real. In order for people to actually connect with it, they need to see what it really is. But unfortunately, in this world, that is not what's currently happening. It's basically like people are being tricked right now. People are being told, hey, astrology is this tool that can help you find yourself. And then people will be like, great, I'm interested. And then they'll go to some website that has some SEO optimized articles, because when they Googled whatever they Googled, that is what came up because it's been SEO optimized. But when they read the specific article and they try and find some meaning to it, it's completely emotionless, depthless. It's got no soul. People will put out these SEO optimized articles to gain traction to their website so that they can maybe sell advertisements or that they can make sales. But the attention of the masses and the sales that they are getting through this is literally destroying what astrology is actually meant to be doing in the first place. Okay guys, so this is just my video on debunking the myths and the misconceptions about astrology. If you guys have anything to add, please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more astrology and spirituality videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.